Breaking news! Apple Computer is now the largest company in the world, surpassing Exxon Mobil. I'm here on Wall Street talking to people about what they think about this latest development. What do you think about those apples?
I pretty much like those apples. I'm a dance teacher and I'm a personal Mac user. My computer, my phone, my iPod, and they make things really easy for my job, so I enjoy it.
It happens, you know. I expected that, you know. I expected Apple to succeed past Exxon Mobil.
It's very successful. I think they're great, yeah.
What about you?
As he said, they're very successful. They're helpful for students that want to get Macs to use at the university, and for kids, it works the iPad and the iPod Touch. And for grown-ups, they can use the iPhone and Mac.
Well, I think it's great if they're employing a lot of people and giving them jobs and benefits and things like that.
Well, you kind of expect that there's kind of that whole cult of Apple that everyone seems to be talking about, that Apple technology or Apple computer, or they don't even call it Apple computer anymore, they just call it Apple. Apple is somewhat of a cult and people tend to just lodge for it. The success of their iPods, and you know, which really is just a replacement of the Walkman, but you know, you got to have it. 5 years ago, nobody carried around portable music players. Now you can't live without music. So I guess it's the whole marketing angle of Apple is its genius and what's really made it go. They're taking an everyday product, improving on it, and make all of a sudden everyone's got to have it. I mean, we had smartphones for you know, with the research and motion BlackBerry, but everyone's got to have the iPhone. You know, it's basically the same thing you had before, but it's just better marketing. That whole cult of Apple, and it's mainly the marketing that's really making them so great.
Are you a big fan of Apple then?
Not really. Not a really big fan of Apple, you know.
Then how can you make these predictions?
Because I see it every day. Everywhere you go, everybody got an iPad or either an Apple phone, you know.
So you think the future for this company is great?
Very great, and I may even switch over.
So are you boys planning on using Macs and going to the college level then?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. So it sounds like Apple is really helping to stimulate your learning. So do you think Apple is a specialist in arts?
I think they make their programs for us very easy to use, so they're very user-friendly, yeah.
And do you think this will help them in the long run to stay a successful company?
Most definitely.
Now you said cult rather than using the word subculture. Does this mean that you think that the Apple cult is dangerous?
There is, if you notice, a certain arrogance about Apple users. You know, they're what, 10% of computers nowadays, you know, but they have an attitude that they're a lot bigger than they really are. They're 30% in you know, computer or in drawing and movie. The 30% of the stuff in the top of the line in animation and design, but they're still a small percentage of the market around the world. They're not, but there's an arrogance that they're the best, even though they're such a small part. Now, as far as mobile phones, they're becoming the dominant source. They're becoming, what, 40% market share or something like that. So Apple on the cell phone market's pretty good. They have, what, 80% of all the music, online music, so they're becoming the dominant force there. But they have a dominance in one market and they're pushing in, so I guess in a way you could say they're monopolistic, or they're becoming a conglomerate and having their bits and everything. So they could be something to watch out for.
Can Apple continue to innovate now that they are the largest company in the world, or have those apples gone rotten?
Well, to be honest with you, when things get so big, it takes the human element out of it, and I think you'll see things start to fall, because they'll be sending them out to other countries where they don't make as much money, and the people don't have the benefits that they have, you know, things like that. They're all about profit, and that's what makes it the biggest company in the world. But when you're all about profit and not about the people, that's when you have problems.
I doubt very seriously that they'll ever go rotten. I think they'll take over the whole nation one day and everything will be Apple.
Wow, it sounds like you think Apple is really powerful, almost even more powerful than Microsoft. Why do you think this?
I mean, look around. Like I said, look around. It's everywhere. If Apple is Microsoft.
I hope they keep coming up with new ideas, otherwise I'm going to get pretty bored using their products, so let's hope so.
Do you think that their innovation is going to halt, or do you think that they can improve their innovation? Are the Apples going to stay good in the bunch?
Well, when Steve Jobs had all his medical problems and he went on medical leave for what, about 6 to 9 months or something like that, that was a real test for Apple. You could see that they have a good strong bench. They have a lot of good number 2 people and number 3, you know, good people to, so Steve Jobs is mainly the marketing end of it, but there's a lot of good product developers there, stuff like that. So Apple's actually a really good company, and it's not only Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is the figurehead, you know, and it's fearful that, you know, if these medical problems, he finally dies or something serious were to happen to him, it could take a major hit. But it shouldn't hurt the development of new products, because they do have a lot of good other people at the company to support them.
Or do you think Apple products are going to go bad by the time you guys are adults?
No, not really. No. They've been doing a great job right now. They've been helping us a lot. So no, I don't think so.
It sounds like you predict for the future Apple's going to keep going well.
Yep.
And you?
Yeah. Same. Once we're grown-ups, they're gonna have newer technology so that we can use it. Like for example, we can, instead of having the keyboard, we can do a touch screen, and we can use it for the university once we grow up. And if we want to be successful, we can get one to help our job.
Oh, that's great. So it sounds like you guys are already planning ahead to be using Apple now at the university and at work?
Yes. Yep.
Well, what about that other company? You may have heard of Microsoft. Do you guys ever think you'll use those products?
Oh yeah, very much.
Yeah.
They're very successful too, but I kind of like Apple more. Yeah.
What about you?
Yes. Microsoft. Yes. You can like do your work on there, like Microsoft Word. You can write reports and do all like experiments and scientific stuff and like job things. And PowerPoint is more of is like if you want to do a slideshow at a convention, you go on it, then you save it to your file. Then once you're at the convention, you could go and get the computer and your hard drive, and you can show the people that you wanted to show your work.
Yeah, you may be the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. What do you think about that?
That's a possibility that might happen if I can make my own computer website or something.
Well, keep working hard at your dreams. It sounds like you have a very bright future ahead of you. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is very well known for helping people who are disadvantaged. However, Steve Jobs isn't as well known for helping charities. Do you think that this is a fact, or is this just public perception?
I think that it's a fact.
So you think that Microsoft is giving more back to the community right now?
I mean, yeah, you could say that. If you look in the schools, they're giving free, you know, computers and stuff to schools and stuff like that. So yeah.
Have you heard anything about Steve Jobs and his contributions to charity?
No, I haven't.
Do you believe that Apple is giving back to the community?
I haven't heard anything, so it's hard to say whether I believe it or not. I would like to believe that they do, but I don't know that as a fact.
Okay. So maybe it's just not as publicized.
Exactly.
What do you think is a better investment for the future? Oil or technology?
Well, I think technology is, because technology will stay. One of these days we are going to use up all the oil, or we're going to kill ourselves over it. And like we were talking, like the man, Bill Gates, you can see what he does for people. You can see what wonderful contributions he does to needy and helping people. But the owner of this company, we don't know a clue. We never hear about him. You know, what does he do to help people? You know, you have to, when you take, you got to give back. Because when you get a blessing, if you get a blessing and you hold it here, that blessing will die. If you get blessed, then you have to take this blessing and share it with other people, and it will just multiply and multiply, and it'll get bigger and bigger, and that will make people want to work harder for them. That will people want to dedicate their lives to them. But when you just have to take and take and take and just give little back, that's what you get, this little in your life.
So you believe that technology can give back?
Yes, I do believe that. I believe technology is what helps find cures. Technology helps people in a lot of different ways, you know, with wheelchairs or just false prostheses and things like that. Technology can help design that. Oil can't do anything for it.
What would be the better investment, oil or technology?
That's a tough question. I would like to see both go all the way. Let's hope they don't start cutting back on either.
Well, right now Apple just surpassed Exxon, so in a way Apple is improving a little bit better than Exxon is.
Well, then Exxon needs to boost it up and get with the program.
I would most definitely have to say oil, because that's what's going to keep the world running. Technology can't run without oil.
Not even computers?
Not even computers.
Technology, because oil is very dirty, and I don't really like oil because it's all sticky. And I think technology is very good because it helps you with lots of your work. And yeah.
That's great. What about you?
Technology, because you can use it whenever you want, and oil you have to go and buy it. But with technology, you can, if you buy it once, you can use it for your whole life. So yeah, I think it would be useful for us to get technology instead of oil.
Oil or technology?
Well, it's an issue of time frame. In the short term, it depends on what you think of the dollar. If you think the dollar is going to depreciate, over the short term, I would say go into oil, because as the dollar goes down, oil goes up. So in the short term, I would say look into oil, because if you believe the dollar is going to depreciate, you know, to all the government problems in the U.S., that would be a push towards oil and other commodities. But in the long term, if we go more towards solar and wind and other alternative energy, technology is the better choice over the long term. So next 6 to 9 months, I'd probably say oil, but you know, in the next several years, I'd probably say technology.
Hey, you used the big word "if" when you said solar and wind. Do you have some doubts?
They've been pushing. I mean, we had solar panels in the 70s, and you know, I have solar panels on my house since the 80s, and you know, they don't tell you about all the problems with solar panels. I mean, there's a lot of trouble cooling my particular solar panels with water and stuff like that, so there's a lot of trouble with solar. So maybe this new technology will relieve some of that, but solar and wind have been around for, I mean, wind has been around for, you know, hundreds of years, and solar's been around for dozens of, you know, decades. So I mean, these technologies are there. It's just you got to improve upon them.
I can see that you think that you know, we need to get to the point where the technology is a higher quality. Do you think that with Apple they've achieved a higher quality than Microsoft?
Well, one of the big debates was during the whole auto bailout that they should name Steve Jobs the car czar, because he seems to be the only guy who can, in America, that can create anything worthwhile. So if he did actually, if the government said, you build a car, we might actually have a viable automotive sector here in the U.S. So if you got some of the top people from Silicon Valley, you know, the Google guys are trying to do a space program and stuff. So if you actually had those guys to make a car, we might have a successful auto industry in this country.
Do you have any closing statements you'd like to say to our viewers at home?
I really enjoy Apple, and I hope they keep coming out with great ideas.
Hedge your bets on there. Make sure you buy some protective puts if you're gonna take that stock on the long side. Because I mean, I've seen stocks like that over the years. There was shit in the 70s. We had Waste Management. They thought that was the greatest thing. I've seen AOL come and go. I mean, you had Qualcomm, top stock of the year. You know, we had oil and gold be the #1 stocks of the year. This is surprisingly, Apple is the top stock for multiple years. I mean, and it's due for a fall. I mean, it's the #1 stock, and it's been so for many years. But we said the same thing about, you know, Qualcomm, you know, back in the 90s. In the 70s, they were saying the same thing about garbage companies. I mean, they're saying the same thing about plastics in the 60s. I mean, eventually this thing will fall. I mean, in the 20s, RCA was the company. what is RCA doing now?
Okay, well, I hope you're right. I hope that we have a better future for us.
I do too. We're praying for it. We got to pray for it because we can't give up until it's time.
Thank you for joining us here on Wall Street. I hope to see you again on Wall Street as we talk to more people about the breaking news on the stock market.